My name is Carrie. I'm the Associate Executive Director. Ryan is not with us tonight. He is enjoying the beautiful rivers of Canada, fishing with his family. So when you watch the replay, we can all say, hi, Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Thanks for being here tonight. We are a community for addicts, loved one of addicts, and spiritual refugees. Each week together, we break the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. There's always one thing that we do. If you're new, it's super easy to learn. It'll be up on the screen. What I will ask you to do is help us remind each other what we don't do every single week by shouting it out on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't do shade. That is right. And once again, if you are new with us, we're glad that you're here. Just after service, we would love to get you guys connected with a welcome bag. Inside the welcome bag, you'll find some fresh roasted Wagon Coffee by Tammy Kennedy and her team at Wagon Coffee, as well as some free swag and a meeting schedule. If you flip over that meeting schedule, you'll find a QR code, and if you scan that QR code, you'll get connected to all the different ways you can get connected to us. You can download our app there, you can watch past services. You can also sign up for our newsletter there, and our newsletter will tell you all the different things that we have going on throughout the week and who the guest storyteller is each week. And we got some fun things coming up. So Colorado Artists in Recovery twice a year has an art show, and it will be happening on August 8th here in this building. It's free to attend. It's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. There'll be snacks, there'll be music, there'll be entertainment, and there's over 20 plus artists who are going to be displaying their art all throughout this building. It's a great community event. Come meet some people, support the local artists. Many of them sell their pieces that night, so come support them. There's lots of talents. We also have, this one's super fun, on August 20th, I don't know if he's here or not, but does Ben Michael happen to be in the building right now? It's a Family Feud like-ish game, and what this means, you do not have to come with your actual family of origin. You can come solo, you can come in groups, but what they're going to do is they're going to have a game night that's very similar to, I don't know the age demographic in here, if y'all remember the game Family Feud, but it's going to and entertainment. It's completely free to attend. You can come with your friends, you can meet. It is still on TV? Oh, I guess that my family of origin was on the original Family Feud. That was a while ago, though. Anyhow, it'll be a fun night, and Ben Michaels, he was our guest storyteller a few weeks back. He is actually going to be our host that evening. It's going to be a wonderful evening, free to attend. More will be on the newsletter coming out this week. So again, sign up for the newsletter and you'll find out more. And then also, again, September 17th and 18th, Ryan and I are combining, and we're hosting the 2-day summit, the Faith and Recovery Summit. This is a great opportunity, whether you're watching online and you want to come visit us here in Denver in person, or if you're in the community here and you're a faith leader, recovery leader, and you want to learn how to kind of grow what you're doing. We have some people who are attending who are going to take what they find here and go start a free out in Santa Fe. Albuquerque. And there's also, we had people who joined us here from Seth in Chicago, did this, and then he went to go start out in Chicago. So we've had people join us all over the nation. You can learn more about this under our events. Just click under events, go to September, and you can find out more and register. If you have any questions, reach out to Ryan and I, and we'd be happy to answer them. That is all for announcements, friends. We start each and every week with celebrations. I did not ask anyone to pass a mic, but what we do is we take 3 minutes and we celebrate, and David is gonna love to pass a mic for me because he's sitting nice front row and center. We celebrate anything here, whether it's sobriety birthdays, belly button birthdays, maybe it's a new job, new relationship, maybe you got a brand new puppy, anything that you want to celebrate. We take 3 weeks, not 3 weeks, 3 minutes, and we celebrate together. If you're online, drop your celebrations in the comments. We'd love to celebrate with you guys. All you got to do is raise up your hands. David on this side and Eric on this side will pass the mics, and all you got to do is raise your hand, and these 3 minutes are yours. Thanks, Eric.
Hi, my name's Nicole. I just wanted to give a shout out to my sister for being 203 days sober from alcohol.
I just want to give a shout out to my son. He was dealing with abuse of alcohol, and he's now, since the 2nd of January, sober.
I'm Megan, and I wanted to shout out the ladies at Evans for going to the CA or the NA barbecue today, and my friend Aubrey for joining us, her first time here.
I'm Elisa, and I just wanted to give my husband a shout out. He'll be sober 15 years next Saturday.
My name's Eric. I'm an addict. I reached 4 months sober yesterday.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and in a couple days I'll be celebrating 9 months.
I'm an addict. My name's Catherine, and I would like to celebrate that in less than a month I start school to get my bachelor's. Well, begin my journey towards my master's degree as a licensed clinical social worker.
My name's Mahal, and today I'm 60 days sober.
I'm Steven, and I just celebrated 2 years sober.
Hi, friends. Howdy. Howdy. You want to read for me? You want to go first?
Sure.
Oh, just kidding. I wanted you to get more steps in. I'm going to take that mic from you, though, friends. Thank you so much. Although I honestly don't like it when Ryan's gone because I selfishly have to do more work, and y'all know how much I love being up here on stage. But what I do absolutely positively love is when we get people who are so remarkable in the community who come here and help us deliver a message that only they can do. And tonight, you guys, it's so exciting. Every time she comes, yes, I'm probably going to cry. Just cue it now. But she is such a remarkable figure in the recovery world, and we're so, so grateful to have her. Can you guys please do me the greatest honor of welcoming Sarah Hornbuckle to the stage?
Hello, what is that sound effect? The drama effect is amazing. Hi, everybody. What? Oh, hi. I feel like I'm home. I know you guys. I love you guys. I'm a woman in long-term recovery. And it's funny because I think about all the things that I was supposed to do because I had a gig at 10 a.m. this morning at the Grizzly Rose, and it was so hot. And there were so many things that I forgot to do. And I'm like, you know what, though? I'm going to go be with my people. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me come today. I'm just going to open us up in prayer, if that's all right. Father, we thank you for this moment that we get to be together as a collective, people in recovery, loved ones of recovery, celebrating our celebrations and mourning our losses and coming together to feel a little bit lighter, a little bit better. I thank you for the good things that you're doing, even when the good things don't feel so good. We know that you are good. Thank you for the moments and the messages that we get to hear from you today. I pray that our hearts would be open to receive. Amen. God Shots. I get to be the final person for God Shots the last week, and I always throw Ryan a wrench because I was like, you know, the God Shots that I get, sometimes they hurt. And I don't know about you guys, but God Shots is a term used to describe moments that feel like more than a coincidence. Synchronicities, unexpected help, or fortunate timing that we interpret as a sign of a higher power working in our life or in our recovery. God Shots are evidence of grace or guidance, letting us know that we're not alone. How many of us have had a lot of those? I've had several of those, and I love those, much better than the one that I'm going to talk about today, because I'd like to suggest a different type of God Shot that doesn't bring about immediate feelings of peace and oneness with God. It's the prayers that get answers in ways that you would never choose. Answered prayers that take months and even more hardship until you finally see God's goodness. God Shots can sometimes feel like the oldest, most rickety wooden roller coaster that you logically should not ride, but you do anyway. God shoots us with lessons and he blasts us with wisdom. Then we get to decide if we turn that experience of pain into purpose or if we choose resentment, fear, and self-destruction. So 3 years ago, I set out on a path to heal some deep wounds from domestic violence. I was finally ready because I had recently experienced a full-blown meltdown in front of my family during a PTSD response. Has anybody had one of those? End up causing a lot more trouble? Well, if you've ever experienced a PTSD response, it's a very strange feeling because there's one part of my brain that knows I am completely safe and that if I just stay calm and breathe, I can communicate effectively and logically. But then there's this other part of my brain that sounds like that. Perfect timing, sir. This part of my brain is 15 years old, and she will severely escalate a situation by deciding that she is about to be killed. 15-year-old Sarah must present herself as a bear who will absolutely take you down if you choose to attack her. And she embarrasses me, and she scares me, and she makes me sad too, because I don't want my body to keep reliving a trauma, and I really want this part of me to be healed because I've been told that it never goes away. And I'm like, I gotta do something though, because I don't like that part of me. So I started praying every day for 30 days. God, please heal me from this. And I was also practicing breath work because it calms the nervous system. It stimulates the vagus nerve and it calms your nervous system down. So box breathing, anybody ever do it? Let's do a collective one. So it's a count of 4 in, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 1. The smokers are having trouble, 2, 3, 4. If you do 9 of those, like Navy SEALs use this trick to calm down their nervous system so they're not freaking out so much. So I've been practicing this. I'm like, okay, we can handle this. Well, I've heard some testimonies of my friends and others having these miraculous experiences of God immediately removing addiction or ailments or pain in their lives. That does happen. I have seen it. But that is not my story. For some reason, I have to fight for my healing. Anybody else? Day 27 of me praying for this. Same prayer every single day. I had a road raging maniac chase me and my children on the road. Now, the incident ended with us being surrounded by 15 cop cars, held at gunpoint, and my son and I both handcuffed in the back of cop cars. Now, I know now that the man who told the police that I pointed a gun at him with my kids in the car, which I did not, had 2 open cases of domestic violence in 2 different counties against him. That was information I found out after the fact. So I'm in the back of this cop car, day 27, and I start hyperventilating. Full-blown, like almost a full-blown panic attack. And I'm like, oh, hello, 15-year-old Sarah. Shoot. Listen, girl, if you take over, we are definitely going to jail today. So I have to pause. And I remember my prayer for the last 27 days, God, help me heal from this. And I start the breath work that I've been practicing. And I pray as best as I can, because what do you pray in this situation? Hey, God, this isn't exactly what I had in mind when I asked for healing from domestic violence. This is quite exactly the exact opposite. So I don't know what's happening right now. But as I slow down my breathing and my heart rate calms, and I hear my children, my 11-year-old son and my 15-year-old son, give the testimony. Their testimony is keeping me out of jail today. Like, that's my future depends on children. Very scary situation to be in. But my heart rate calms, and suddenly I burst into hysterical laughing in the back of this cop car. Y'all, I am a leader in the recovery community. I am an upstanding citizen, and I am no longer a criminal. What is happening to me? This is absurd. This is absurd. And I'm laughing at all of this. But I can't see the cops. I can't let the cops see me laughing because that's disrespectful, right? So then we're still 15 again, just mocking and making fun of police officers. That's not what I want to do. So then I calm down and I'm just like, okay, of course I have to fight for my healing handcuffed in the back of a cop car because of a violent man. Of course I was held at gunpoint in front of my son's karate studio with a giant Hornbuckle Foundation sticker on the back of my car. Of course I have to make the Nextdoor app and read the opinions of my neighbors. What a horrible mother. She probably got caught robbing the gas station. Drug addicts. Yeah, 3 years ago. Mortifying. But then the word surrender came to me, something that we practice. And as a woman in long-term recovery, I've been in recovery for 10 years now, surrender is something that comes second nature to me because life doesn't stop life and people don't stop people in, and we have to surrender to a lot of things. But that word surrender, it consumed my whole body. Okay, God, I'm gonna try, even though this feels like a nightmare. 6 cops came over to collect my statement. They kind of all surrounded. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I wasn't angry. I communicated clearly, with respect. Hey. My heart rate stayed calm. And the rest of the story, because it is kind of a fun story, I did end up finding the guy. And then my daughter came home from Basket Robbins. She's like, Mom, 15 cop cars just flew by while we were getting ice cream. What do you think they were looking for? Your mother shut down the entire intersection of Wadsworth and Chatfield. Yeah. Golly. So the rest of the story is on Facebook if you want to watch it. Because I finally got the confidence. I was like, 3 years is long enough. You know that saying, we no longer regret the past or wish to shut the door on it, right? So I'm like, hey, in recovery, you might get thrown in the back of a cop car along with your children, because they thought my 15-year-old was 23. So he was on the ground in handcuffs, and I'm like going, I'm so sorry. This escalated very quickly. I am so sorry, apologizing to my son. But he ended up bragging about it on his socials and it's a whole thing. But that was one of the biggest God shots that I've ever had, because I was terrified. And then I was laughing, and then I feel manic, and I feel crazy. But I'm like, is this healing? Is this what's happening right now? Like, you're showing me that I don't have to let violent, angry men control me any longer? That I can be handcuffed and literally experiencing my worst nightmare and be okay? Is that what's happening right now? Because I don't know what else to think if that's not it. So when you experience a God shot that hurts, kind of like that one, the first thing to remember is El Shema, the God who hears, the God who listens. The Bible gives us different Hebrew names to describe God, and El Shema is one of them. The name comes from a story in the Bible of a single mother named Hagar, who was outcasted from her tribe, but she knew El Shema would hear her. See, God does not just hear sounds when we pray, but he moves closely towards the brokenhearted, and he answers prayers. If you feel like God doesn't hear you, I want you to choose one of these scriptures to memorize and take with you today. So if you're looking for something, if you want to pull out your phone and take a shot, there's going to be 3 different slides with 3 different verses for you to remember that God hears you. First one is Psalm 17:6. I call on you, my God, for you will answer me. Turn your ear to me and hear my prayer. Next one. Jeremiah 29:12. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. Next one. Micah 7:7, but as for me, I watch and hope for the Lord. I wait for God, my Savior. My God will hear me. There are so many times when I feel like, do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you know what's going on? Do you see what this person is doing? Do you see what's happening to me? And we can feel very insignificant. And I think as people in recovery, it can be sometimes even more because we have done a lot of things where we think we might not deserve God's mercy or God's forgiveness, or we don't deserve for him to listen to us. Maybe you were raised by a parent that when you did something wrong, you were given the cold shoulder. It wasn't a, hey, let me help you through this. You're going to have a consequence, but I still love you. Maybe it was silence. But that's not what God does for his children. He comes close to the brokenhearted because we do things that break our heart as well. In a life-altering God-shot situation, knowing that God hears you and is with you allows you to be overcome with a peace that passes all understanding. And it doesn't make any sense. But this peace will guard your heart and it will guard your mind. So your heart will feel full and your mind will stop spinning all the narratives that our minds tell us. You will be amazed that the circumstances that used to baffle you or cause you to relapse or lose your mind or be debilitated with fear will no longer have that power over you. See, we get to be an observer of ourselves and invite God into it. So when I'm in the back of that cop car, I'm observing. Hello, fear. Hello, anxiety. Hello, my worst nightmare. Thank you for coming and directing me back toward El Shema, the God who listens. When I was here in November, I told you that I had experienced one of the hardest months of my life. Every time Ryan asked me to come, I'm like, you know my entire life blows up every time you ask me to come here, right? And he's like, well, look forward to hearing it. Thanks, Pastor. Hope you're having fun on the lake. Good. A laugh before this part, because I'm going to take you downhill real fast. So the man who helped me get my first year of sobriety passed from an overdose on October 7th. On October 20th, my daughter's boyfriend took his life at the young age of 16. My youngest son, Gideon, had become addicted to substances, and we sent him to a teen challenge program on October 30th. In the last 8 months, I have attended 5 funerals. I have experienced fear, anger, depression, hopelessness, and so many emotions. It has been so hard. But I know my God. My God sees me, and he hears me. A couple weeks ago, I got to spend the week with my son, Gideon. And now I had braced myself for behaviors, and I hear your story. I hear you. I see you. I braced myself for behaviors that I had become accustomed to experiencing. Manipulation, lack of accountability, hostility, anger, telling me you're a bad parent, all that, because of the choices that he was making. And I recognize addiction. I work with people who are trying to get sober every day. I know what it looks like. I had a lady relapse today and lash out at me, and I just loved, hey, do you need something? Because it's not personal. When you're on this side of recovery and you got your healing, you don't take people's behaviors personally anymore. It's such a relief to outgrow those behaviors. But instead, after 8 months in this program, 8 months, it's a long time. People are like, you're sending your son to a year program? He's gonna die. I didn't know what else to do. We tried it all. We're the professionals, right? But if he didn't want it, and also, I have a grief support group every Tuesday night. I'm sitting with parents who've lost their children who started using substances at 13 and 14 years old, and they never grew out of it, and they died. So here I am going, listen, I got 3 kids. 2 are pretty normal. 1, nope. I see you, son. You are just like me. And your dad, and your grandpa, all of us. Anyway. During this week that I spent with him, I met a young man who decided to give his life over to the care of God as he understands him. He was calm, and I could feel his peace. He was kind, he was respectful, he was fun, and he spoke like a strong man of God. He read me his testimony while, I cried. I cried because I heard his regret. I know everybody in this room knows how that feels. We have a lot of regret sometimes. But I also heard that he has made peace with himself and with God. So Gideon told me how he had prayed that God would help him stop getting drunk and high, and he just couldn't do it while he was living at home. And I asked him if he would be willing to help me with my sermon today. And so he said, yeah, I would absolutely love to do that. And I said, all right, well, would you like to record it for them? And he asked me to sit with him. So I'm like awkwardly on the side looking like he's being held hostage, giving his testimony. And I tried to use AI to take me out. It didn't work. Anyway, we have what we have. But would you like to hear part of his testimony? Okay.
Hello, Free Recovery Community. My name is Gideon Hornbuckle, and I'm the son of the one and only Sarah Hornbuckle. And I'm here to share my testimony, how God took me out of my addiction and he changed my life. It was 7th grade, so I started vaping and smoking with this group of kids. I thought they were cool. I thought that it was, I look tough doing this stuff. I wanted to get myself involved with it to meet new people and new fun people and go to parties and stuff like that. And then I started getting introduced into weed. I was getting high around pretty much every day. It felt really fun. Summer felt great. I was having a blast. Just got introduced into new stuff. And then I got introduced into alcohol. I loved it. I was lost. I didn't even understand the path that I was heading down. I ended up robbing a gun and $27,000 from my own grandma. I didn't fully see that I was wrong. I didn't see the effects of my actions. I thought I was just having fun. I thought I was just being a kid. It's what these other people were telling me. They're like, "Oh, you're a dog, man. You're living it up. You're having fun." And it's what I liked. I felt good about myself. I could have went to jail for 2 years because of this. And then instead of me taking that and deciding, I should get better, I should stop doing this, this is where I can end up, I decided to keep going into it. I got worse. All I felt good about was football. That was my one dream, was to go D1. And so I tried to quit smoking again. And I ended up fracturing my foot. I was out for the season. So I lost all hope. I put all my stuff, all my feelings, all my emotions back into drugs. I felt hopeless. I was sneaking out with a broken foot, hopping around with crutches, throwing them out my window. That's how down bad I was. And that's the things addiction can take you towards. And I wanted to play football so bad, but I lost that opportunity. I was thinking about the kid that I used to be. The kid that would swear he would never do drugs and end up like some of the people in my family because of it. And I understood why my family did it now. I started to pray that he would just help me quit, help me get off of this stuff. October 30th, I got sent to Teen Challenge. I slowly started building a relationship with God. I allowed him to completely transform me. It took a while for me to accept him, and I kept on falling back time and time, but I got back onto a path that I was continuously growing and continuously living and reading his word and praying. I got to a point in my life where I was transformed. And so I have a verse, and I'm going to give you guys. It's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verses 9. It says, "Who has saved us and called us with a holy calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given to us in Christ Jesus before time began." God knew my calling even before time began. He knew where I was going to be. He knew that I would be sitting right here giving this word to you guys, sharing my testimony before I was even created. He knew I would go through the drugs and stuff that happened. He knew I would disobey him when he told me that I had to change, and he showed me the things that could end up happening. He was building my testimony. All the things God put me through, it all happened for a reason. He kept calling me, but I didn't answer. God can take you places that you couldn't even imagine. It's, will you do it? Because you have this opportunity, you have places God can take you, but it starts with you. Are you willing to do this? God sees your potential. You're here today. We all have callings. We all have reasons that we're here. We all have purposes, but it's up to you. Who do you want to be? How do you want to get there? Because you get there with God. It starts with yourself and who you really want to be. Because you find who you really want to be through Christ. I've shared with you guys the God shot that's happened to me and the place that God's taken me. And I hope that you guys can take this word and that you can use it in your lives and others people's lives. And just continue to grow in all. Thank you guys. Have a good time.
Put tissues in my pocket, just in case. So God asking me to surrender that child, and I know he looks a lot older than he is, but he just turned 15 on Wednesday. Yeah, he started at 13 years old, and I guess 14 is where he really started to escalate very quickly. And when he brought home a handgun and 27 grand worth of shit that he stole from his grandma, I was like, we can't do this anymore. He's gonna die. It was the hardest thing, but it took 8.5 months of me questioning whether or not we made the right decision to send him to treatment. 8.5 months of tears, fear, and questioning myself as a mother every single day. But I know with absolute certainty that God is changing his life. We all know that treatment is not the solution, but it's a beginning. Right now, when he's in his bubble, right, anybody that's been to treatment, we know it's safe and we're surrounded by all the good things, and life is waiting for him on the other side. I am not naive to that. Gideon will face more hardship, more disappointment, more temptation, and more good and hard God shots. But he met El Shammah, the God who hears him. Gideon told me that he feels more free today, even though he's in a different state in a boarding house with other boys who are struggling just like him. He's expressed gratitude even though there are days when he absolutely hates being there. He's learned how to find gratitude. The shots that I take look different today, and it might take a while to see the tough God shots as blessings. It could take weeks, it could take months, or even years, but here is a promise from God. Psalm 91:15, he will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. That's the God that we're talking about today. I will honor you for coming to me. I hear you. I see you. And sometimes if we ask, God, I need help, I want to stop using, sometimes things get really dark before they get better. All right, I'm going to play you a song that I wrote a couple months ago. If anybody was at the Sober Mic Night, I'll take both. And there was a microphone on that one, so it's okay. And I wrote it from the book of Psalms. Anybody know anything about the book of Psalms in the Bible? So David wrote the Psalms. And he's kind of a big deal in the Bible, and he's my favorite character in the Bible. He's my favorite dude because he's a total screw up all day long. Love this guy. But God, you know what God says about him? That David is a man after my own heart. He did. That's what God says. And people get confused. How can you say that? He's not a very good dude. Well, he was he started out as a shepherd boy who fought lions and bears, but then he was picked on and bullied by his family. I see you guys got some of that in you, I think. I'm just kidding. He fought Goliath, and he was destined to be king, but he finds himself alone in a cave, hiding from men who wanted to kill him. He was at the lowest of the lows, but he knew one thing for sure, that God hears and answers his prayers, just not always in the way he thought he would. God shots that hurt. Now I'm confused about which microphone I'm using. Serve as lessons in humility, in trust, and patience. They leave us confused, maybe feeling bamboozled, but God is El Shammah, the God who listens, the God who hears, the God whose love is everlasting, and the God who will have mercy on you. These God shots lead us to love. Love for God, love for ourselves, and love for humanity, because they teach us compassion and understanding for other people. And it's all love, beloved. So embrace the hard God shots, because God loves you so much that he will hear you and he will help you. So join me in this prayer as I sing my version of David's prayer. It's called Have Mercy. Do this as gracefully as possible. My mom used to threaten to send me to charm school. I am really clumsy, but I'm gonna do my best. Check. I probably use some more vocals. All right, let me go grab. Hold on. All right, Psalm 57. So if you want to look it up later, write it down, set a reminder. It's a really good one. I wanna hear my battle cry, but it's locked up deep inside, and I'm trying to trust you, but these seasons make me wanna hide. So have mercy on me. Oh, have mercy, my God, have mercy on me. For in you the shadow of your wings. Don't let me go, 'cause I won't make it. No, I don't have the strength to make it through this night. So have mercy on me. Oh, have mercy, my God, have mercy on me. When
For great is your love, awaken all my soul, for you will rise above. But have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. Yeah. Have mercy on me. Yeah. Oh, have mercy, my God, have mercy on me. Yeah. Have mercy, my God, have mercy on me. So embrace the hard God shots, is what I'm trying to tell you. Because God loves you so much, and He is with you. He will hear you, and He will help you, just not always in the way that you think He will. Thank you.
I think we need some breath after that one. Can you guys do me a favor and please give her another round of applause, because her talent, her heart, and her willingness to show up and be of service to our community is just absolutely every single time. It's such an honor. If you're new with us, you should know that the second half of our service, we always bring a community member up to share a little bit of their story on the topic at hand. What I love so much about our community, it's kind of like when Sarah was talking about the intersection. How many times do we drive by incidences like that and we cast so much judgment on whatever's going on or whoever they are? And the great thing about our community that differs slightly from traditional church models is we actually get to share our story with each other. A lot of traditional churches, you sit next to someone for years and you have no idea what's going on in their lives. But if you look around tonight, kind of look around and see we have so many past guest storytellers here tonight. And one of my favorite parts of my job is I get to sit down before these interviews and I get to spend an entire hour with them really listening to their story, and it just helps me remember that you never know what's going on in someone's lives. Some of us look a little bit more cleaned up than others. Some of us are newer in sobriety, but we all share this willingness to keep showing up for each other and sharing their story, and tonight's guest storyteller is no different. So can you please do me a favor and help welcome up Steve as our guest storyteller tonight? Should I switch mics? Nope, you got me. Do you have him?
There it is.
There we go. Yeah, in the middle of the couch, then you're like properly angled for our online folks. Thanks for joining me. As I was saying, I've seen you, we've talked, we've said hi a million times, but I've never got to sit down and really know a lot about you. So I really appreciate that the time that we got to spend together. And there are very few. Ryan teases me that I cry all the time. I don't know that I believe that, but there are very few people who make me cry during their actual pre-guest storyteller interview, and you, my friend, were one of them. So let's just get into it. You can see you've been sober for a little bit, couple of days.
A few
days.
But who's counting?
But who's counting? We only have today, right? Let's start with your backstory, because this will weave into your God shots. Tell us a little bit of what it was like growing up and a little bit of your origin story.
I grew up in upstate New York. Alcoholism runs rampant throughout both sides of my family. My dad was a raging alcoholic. My mom was raging. And my older sister and I were tortured by our parents. I remember at the age of 4, my mom pushing my hair. I used to wet the bed, and my mom would push my face down in the urine on my bed and whip my back with a belt. She would write this school note saying, "Please excuse Steve from gym because he doesn't feel well," and I've got these bandages around my body to cover up the bloody scars. My dad used to beat my mom. My dad used to beat my older sister. He beat me too, but my mom was worse. And my dad stopped working, I think, in the late 60s, mid-60s, and he became a hardcore alcoholic. And I remember my mom was worse, but my dad was the one not working. My dad was the one getting the DUIs. My dad was the one beating my mom and my sister and me. And I started to hate my dad. I started to resent my dad, even though my mom was worse. My mom was horrible. You know, if my parents did the things today, what they did back in the 60s, they'd be in prison for the rest of their lives. And I started drinking the first time, got drunk at 13, but I had so much built up anger and resentment toward my dad because my dad was the one who's totaling cars. And I joked about it after I got sober that we grew up in a small town in upstate New York where there was 2,000 people, 5,000 dairy cow. And when my dad was drinking, all the cows knew to stay on the road because he had ended up being out in a pasture, and he totaled like 10 or 12 vehicles and killed cows, and they were in the pasture. So they all stayed on the road. And that's who my dad was. And I hated him, and I resented him. And I told myself, one day I'm going to be bigger and stronger than him, and I wanted to hurt him. Even though my mom was so much worse. And even after I got sober and been sober, she still justified it and everything. She went to Al-Anon and never did the steps. She never, ever made amends. And my dad did to the best of his ability, but my older sister was in college. My younger sister came home. My mom was a teacher. My parents were going through a horrific divorce in '79. My mom had already kicked my dad out. I had so much, by this time I was bigger and stronger than my dad, and I threw his clothes, the rest of his clothes out on the driveway. I cut him up, I broke the furniture, I slashed his clothes, and I poured oils and everything. And he came in with my grandmother, and he'd already been drinking, he wasn't drunk. And he said, "You did this, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And I called him an effing a-hole, and I'd never, ever called my dad that. And I could feel my body tensing up. He said, "What'd you call me?" I said, "You're an effing drunk, and you're an effing a-hole." And I could see the rage in my dad's eyes because I'd never called him that. And I said, "Why don't you come at me?" And here my younger sister, 3.5 years younger, is literally standing about where the steps are. My grandmother was just as abusive. And I wanted my dad to come at me.
Just so we can hear you online. Yep.
Oh, okay. Is that better? Okay. And he came at me, and I moved to the side, and I put him in a headlock, and I just started swinging hard. And I didn't stop, and my younger sister is terrified and screaming over there, but I didn't stop. Blood's pooling on the floor in the kitchen. I've got him around the neck. I've already cut my knuckles on his teeth. I realized later I put his teeth through his gums. I don't know if I broke his nose, but his nose was disfigured. And I just kept going. I don't know how many times I hit him. I had so much pent-up rage and anger. And all of a sudden, his body started going limp. And my younger sister's terrified. And I dropped my dad because I realized I was strangling him. There's a huge pool of blood on the kitchen floor. And I ended up grabbing my dad by the back of his collar and his throat, and I literally threw him out and everything, and I told him to get him out. And that was in April of '79. And it wasn't until after I got sober that I realized that had it not been for my younger sister there, I would have killed my dad. I would have continued. My dad would have been dead on that floor because that's how much rage and anger I had for my dad.
That took a while. So after that incident, you had left home and you're drinking. You ended up becoming the exact thing that you hated about your dad. Tell us what it was like after that incident and before you, I mean, obviously you did get sober, but during that time, tell us about the progression of your own alcoholism.
You know, during high school, I didn't drink much. Drank on weekends, but it was when I got to college. Started drinking more. Started playing rugby. I went to the Air Force Academy. I didn't graduate because my drinking, I got drunk and smoked a lot of pot, cheated on a test and lied about it, and was found guilty of 2 honor violations and was expelled from the academy. And I had a lot of shame and guilt. And I went down to the University of Arizona and I started playing rugby. And at the age of 24, I made our national team and toured all over the world, and I drank with the best of the best, and I played with the best of the best. But my drinking progressed. I started doing cocaine. I started smoking pot. I tried acid and everything. But it wasn't the drugs, it was the alcohol. It was my drug of choice. And I drank to cover up my insecurities, my fears, my absolute self-loathe in myself. And I don't remember much about my last year because I was a blackout drinker at that point. And when I was sharing this last week with Carrie, she asked what the turning point was. And it was my last night of drinking on July 10th. It was a Sunday night. My roommate and I went out to have some drinks. And I went out because there were these 2 twin girls in a sorority that were gorgeous, and I wanted to have a threesome, my college fantasy. That didn't happen. My roommate had gotten a DUI the year before I did, and he went from a heavy drinker down to a teetotaler. And at that point, my last drink was at 12:45 that night, and that's only because the bars closed at 1. And he had 1 glass of beer, and I had 14 pitchers. We got home, we had a big argument, probably about the fact that the TV had all lines. I hadn't played the cable bill again. All my utilities had been shut off. I was being evicted. And I don't remember what he called me. He called me some names. I'm not going to say them here because I don't believe in profanity in a church. But he went and slammed his door, and I'm sitting on my living, small little family room floor. I didn't believe in a God because it was a punishing God. And I just started sobbing. Couldn't control it. And I looked up at the ceiling, and still today I don't know where this came from, but I said 4 words. I said, God, please help me. I'm scared, I'm drunk, I don't want to drink anymore. And I cried even more, and then I said, I'm an alcoholic, and I never wanted to be. And I cried even more, and then I said, I'm an alcoholic, just like my dad. Some guy by the name of John 12-stepped me, and I went to my first AA meeting on a Monday night, and by the grace of God, I've never had another drink since.
For many of us, getting sober ends up being one of the proudest moments of our lives. But when you picked up, you like to tell the story of the proudest moment of your life did not happen on your 1-year anniversary. When you went to pick up a chip, you intentionally waited 2 days to pick up that first chip of Alcoholics Anonymous, that 1-year chip. Can you tell us about your proudest moment and why specifically you waited 2 days after your 1 year?
I went through a divorce, and I actually went through marriage counseling at the end of '06, and my therapist asked me, she said, what's the proudest moment of your life? When you come back, tell me about that. It wasn't when I was 12 years old and went a 2-week trip to Spain and Portugal selling newspapers. It wasn't obviously it wasn't when I beat my dad up in April of '79. It wasn't when we won state championship my senior year in high school in football. It wasn't when I was given a congressional nomination to the United States Air Force Academy. It wasn't when I won first team All-State linebacker. It definitely wasn't when I got kicked out of the academy. It wasn't when I made our national rugby team at the age of 24. My sobriety date, you can see, is July 11th of 1988. And on July 11th of 1989, I didn't get my one-year medallion. I waited till July 13th of '89. And my therapist asked why. And I said, they went through the meeting. It was about 100, 150 people. They went through the 1, 2, 3 months, 6, 9, and then they said, anybody have a year? And I said, my name is Steve. And I said, 2 nights ago on the 11th, I celebrated 1 year of sobriety. And then they asked, is anybody celebrating multiple years? And a man sitting next to me by Chuck stands up and said, my name is Chuck, and I'm celebrating 2 years tonight. So he walks over to get his 2-year medallion, and the person handing out chips didn't give it to him. And he's looking around, he's kind of going up, and I stood up, and I walked over to Chuck, and I handed Chuck his 2-year medallion. And I said, congratulations, Dad. Chuck was my dad. That was the first time I saw my dad sober in 20 years. And that was the first time I saw my dad since April of '79. And my dad's sobriety date's July 13th of 1987. And I didn't know that when I came in. And mine was July 11th of 1988. And I was able to give my dad his 2-year medallion the same night I got my 1 year. And I cried in that meeting just like I'm crying now, because it's through this program that I ended up having a relationship with God that wasn't my parents, and I was able to forgive both of my parents, and I was able to forgive my ex-wife for the affair she had. But that was the proudest moment of my life, because that was over 10 years since I saw my dad. And the last time I saw him, I wanted to kill him. I almost did. And now I'm sitting next to him, and we're both sober. You talk about a God shot. That was a huge God shot. You know, when you're talking about God shots, I think back to that moment. And last week when I was talking with Carrie, I realized that in April of '79, with my younger sister standing over there screaming, that God was working through my younger sister. And I didn't realize this until last week, 47 plus years after the fact, that was a God shot that I didn't even know about until I thought about it last week. It was one of the most worst God shots I had ever had, but it was probably also one of the best ones I ever had, because my dad was still alive and ended up becoming sober. And I'm truly grateful for that.
I know you're going to stick around, and again, I would encourage you to guys get to know Steve, and I would also include that to all of us. You know, you never know the story that someone is sitting next to you is carrying. And I specifically want to end with a final question. Whether you're sitting here tonight or you're watching online, many of us struggle with that resentment of whether it's of our parents or of our childhood or of that past story that we just can't get over. If you're sitting out there tonight and you're thinking that there's no way I can get sober or there's no way I can forgive that person, what is one piece of hope that you can leave us with tonight? Like, how do people actually do that?
You know, I thought about that. And when I moved up here to Colorado, my sponsor literally had to drag me back from the edge of the cliff, because I thought about putting that 357 in my mouth with 18 and a half years being sober. I was going through a painful divorce. And my sponsor pulled me out. I was in therapy, and they talked about forgiveness. And they talked about I had to be able to forgive my parents, had to be able to forgive my ex-wife. But they told me that before I could forgive them, I had to be able to forgive myself. I had to be able to forgive myself for not being the perfect 4 or 5-year-old because I had red hair and I had freckles and I embarrassed easy. I had to forgive myself for not being the perfect husband or the perfect father or the mistakes I did and throughout my marriage. And it took a while, and my sponsor made me stand in front of the mirror and just say 2 words, 3 words, "You are okay." And I didn't believe it, and I had to keep saying it. He said, "Don't put any yeah buts, don't any other thing, just say you are okay." Because I used to self-beat myself up. Finally, I started believing it, and I was able to forgive myself. And once I was able to forgive myself, I was able to forgive my parents. I was able to forgive my ex-wife. You know, I was there my dad's last 6.5 years of his life. In his last year, I was able to help feed him, help bathe him, help toilet him. And it's because of this program. It's because of God in my life. And I still say that prayer. I've said it thousands of times since I've been sober. God, please help me. It's the most powerful thing I've ever said. And I don't put any adjectives on it. I don't say anything else. I said, just God, please help me. So if you're struggling, it took me 2 to 3 years before I actually believed in a God, a power greater than myself, other than the people in the room. And I'm a slow learner. They used to talk about gift of desperation. My first sponsor back in the 90s used to talk about that. And a couple years ago, we were going through one of the steps in the 12 by 12, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God. Now I know what my sponsor was telling me. He said, someday you're going to get the gift of desperation. G-O-D. I got that. I've got that gift of desperation. I have a God in my life today. I'm truly grateful. And so with that, any other questions?
That's all we got time for, my friend. But stick around and get to know him. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you. I knew it just got turned up. Did you? I thought you did.
I know, it's wonderful. Gosh, I love our community so much. I think it's so brave how people get up there, and I'm totally just assuming you're gonna do as I say. Sorry. You're gonna mind read me. Anyhow, we always end our evening the same way that we begin it, but this time is with heartaches. So if you're carrying something tonight, this is a reminder that you do not have to do this alone. We are here for each other. God hears the cries. All of us can hold space for each other tonight. Whether you're joining us online, you can drop your heartaches in the comments, but you do not have to go home tonight carrying that burden alone. So we're going to take 3 minutes again. You can simply raise up your hands. We have David on this side and Eric on this side over here, but this 3 minutes is yours, friends.
I'm an addict. My name's Catherine, and my mom lives on a mountaintop, and she lives off of solar power, and she doesn't have any plumbing, and so she gets a lot of her water from the rainfall, which has been non-existent. And without water, she can't do a lot, and she doesn't have a lot of money. So I'd like to pray for some water for my mom. I'd like to pray for some rain, just for the whole state of Colorado. Can we get some rain, God?
Yeah, this is my first time here. My brother has been coming and invited me, and we just lost our sister 3 months ago, so we would just like God to be easy on our hearts, please.
I would encourage you to stick around too and get to know some of us and come say hello. We can't see who you are with the lights on.
I'd like you to lift up my younger brother. Don't have a great relationship with him, but got a call a few days ago, and he lost his wife. He's a little younger than me, and she was definitely younger than him. So, kind of a freak health thing, it sounds like. She's not an addict, and she passed at 40, and there's a lot of guilt around that he's dealing with. So, if you could lift up Mario.
Lifting up Mario. brother or in?
I'm Adam, alcoholic addict. Just pray for, it's been 30 years being one person and just relief from alcoholic behavior and character.
Hi, I'm Aurora. I was going on 7 months sober, but I relapsed 15 days ago, and I feel like I'm struggling to find my purpose, so just pray for me.
What was your name again? Aurora. I'm glad you're here again. I can't see who you are, but can everyone who's around her see who she is? And I'm really glad that you're here.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I'd like to ask for prayers for a dear friend of mine and her daughter. Her daughter has left her home and is living in a hotel and has not been able to stay sober, has been very aggressively fighting any kind of recovery. Her mom has done absolutely everything in her power, and I'd like to offer prayers for them. The daughter's name is Addie.
Prayers for Addie and her entire family.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I just got back from a breakdown. Had to stay at a hospital for a week, and I'm just healing. Just incredibly overwhelmed. I probably have a lot more, but yeah, that's going on. This was a very moving service. Thank you.
Jeff, we're all really glad that you're here tonight. David, now it's going to be your turn. I'm going to ask you to join me. I got to share the misery with both you boys tonight. Thanks, friends. For our you both lucked out tonight. Come on, online folks. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate your willingness to say yes to me. Again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight and each and every single week. We do not get by without your generous giving. It takes all of us in this community. So if you have been impacted by the mission here of Free of Breaking the Silence of Addiction, we would be grateful. There's 3 ways that you can give. You can download our app where you can find all of our past guest storytellers and sermons. You can click on there, say give. You can set it up for one time or reoccurring. Same with our website. You can go to freerecoverycommunity.com. Same thing, click down on to give. Just outside of these black doors, we also have kiosks, which are for cash and check tape. And we also, just outside of these doors, have the one tap, like little tippy tap system over here, the Kind kiosk. It's a safe, secure way just to give quickly. And again, whether you give here or you give somewhere else, there's plenty of foundations like the Hornbuckle Foundation. They do tremendous work in the community. So it doesn't necessarily have to be here, but there's so many people in need out there. So however little, however much, it's always grateful again. And thank you again for being up here. Would you like to join me up here for a closing prayer? I was thinking, because I have to say that 4-part breath, I think, is so important for us just to remember to take a breath. And then it was interesting, Tyler over here, he pulled it out of his pocket and he had a copy of the 4-part breath. So maybe what we can do together is just take one 4-part breath together, all of us together, just to get grounded, and then end with the 3rd step prayer, and it'll be up on the screen. But for those of you who don't know how to actually practice the 4-part breath, I totally am putting you on the spot, but would you mind walking us through it and then closing us out with the 3rd step prayer?
Yeah, I taught you guys. I taught you, check, 1, 2. Hello, check, 1, 2, got it. I taught you guys the breath, or the name for God, El Shema, the one who hears. Another word for God is Yahweh. And your breath is so when we're breathing in and out the Spirit of God. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, breath count in. Ready? 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. So try it out. 9 of those change your life.
And we're going to close with a third step prayer, which opens, God,
I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, Sarah. And anyone
Thanks
who
for having
wanted
me.
connection, please stick around. You are not alone tonight.